Alright, so I'd like to welcome y'all back. Today we're going to go ahead and do our video on how to shoot your first YouTube video. What are you doing?
I'm backing up.
Yeah, I see that. You trying to be a movie star? Alright, so when you're shooting your first YouTube video, don't overthink it, okay? But there are a couple of things that you want to keep in mind. So really what we want to look at is first and foremost, you want to look at your script. If you haven't written a script, that's okay too, because a lot of your first 10, 20 videos are really going to be off the cuff. Now, when you're shooting your video, we need to talk about where you're going to do it. Do you have a space to do it? Obviously, not everybody has a quiet space in the house that they can do. As you saw this morning, my first clip was I was trying to set up in the living room, and we were joined by my lovely co-host. And sometimes that happens, especially with us older people. We still have life, and you get in the middle of trying to do a shoot, and then next thing you know, you got somebody all up in your grill. It happens. It's okay. Like Bob Ross used to say, it's a happy little accident. So I want to show you a couple of things here that I kind of did earlier today, just to kind of show you a couple of different ways you can shoot a scene. Okay, hold on a second. All right, so let's talk about lighting. So if you're on a budget, you can see that natural lighting is really the best way to go. Now, if you notice, this is a darker room. I've got it set up a little bit differently here, but adding just that bit of natural light changes the dynamic here, if you notice. All right, now if I change the direction of how I've got everything, you notice I'm lit up a lot better now. Okay, so you always want to face the window if you're going to use natural light, rather than have the window at your back. Because if you have your window at your back, you notice you get this artifact, this really bright artifact of light, especially if you're trying to do it this way. And then you start having issues with the camera trying to readjust, and now you're trying to find just the right way of, like, okay, so face the window. It lights your face up better and give you a better light source. Okay, so that's one good thing about natural light. And the same thing could go for shooting outside. You definitely want to make sure that you're facing away from this, or facing the sun, so the sun is behind the camera. Otherwise, if you face it into the sun, which I guess on a cloudy day it's kind of hard to figure that out, but the sun is technically back there over those houses. Okay, and you want to try to have it so that the sun is actually being your light source this way, so that doesn't hurt the camera as much by burning the lens, basically. Now, when you're doing these outside shoots, you want to have some sort of gimbal or a selfie stick. Those still work well. Those are actually still a thing. But you want something that has some sort of stabilization so that you don't get the handshake, okay, and your arm doesn't get tired. You can actually keep yourself in frame as you do your video. Okay. Now, the other thing that you're going to have to keep in mind is when you're outside, you have to worry about wind and the elements. And these are very noticeable in this video clip that I'm doing right here. Okay. So keep that in mind when you're shooting your videos, because all that wind noise is hard to take out after you shoot the video in post-production. There are things you can use in DaVinci Resolve and in CapCut to actually do some of the post-production audio, but it's better to not be in a windy situation when you're shooting your videos. Okay? It's not a bad day though. This is really a good light, a good neutral light. All right, now this is a different location. I have two overhead lights, one on either side. Okay, and you can see how I get a shadow right here in the middle of my face. Okay, it's still good lighting, but it gives a different look, and you want to keep that in mind. So sometimes you have to shift. This is the better part of my face. Or dinosaurs, scary. Or this is the better part of my face. What you don't want to do is you don't want to have videos like this. This looks weird. And this is definitely not a flattering angle, okay? So camera position also plays into this as well. Now, if y'all remember in the starting from scratch video, how I talked about not, when you're shooting on your phone, how you have to be mindful of where the actual camera was. This is a case in point, okay? I'm looking at the phone, but I'm watching myself. I'm looking at my eyes, but the camera is actually over here. And if you notice that my eye contact is over here now, okay? But if I look over here, it looks like I'm talking to somebody else all the way over here. And that's how we try to figure out how to shoot a YouTube video. All right. If you notice, I'm outside. I'm in the truck, getting ready to get in the house. And when I get back into the office, we're gonna talk about a few things. So stick around. All right, so we're back, and as you can tell, you can do quite a few different things. You just have to keep in mind lighting. Lighting is definitely a must. Doesn't matter where you shoot, you got to have good lighting, okay? People got to be able to see you. They got to be able to connect with you. So if you want to shoot in the bathroom, okay, as long as there's good light. If you want to shoot outside, that's fine, as long as there's good light. And if you want to shoot in your bedroom, by your computer, in your office, wherever, just make sure you have good lighting. The other thing is audio. Audio is a big thing in your videos. Now, you notice when I was in the living room that you could hear my lovely little honey bear in the back as she was trying to do her job today. And that's part of what I was talking about. You got to find a spot where you're not going to have stuff like that. Just so happens our living room is open to ceiling, so it's got a 18-foot ceiling, so it gets very echoey in there. And if you got kids running around and stuff like that, you can't shoot a video. You got to find a different spot. Because audio is a key thing. It doesn't do you any good unless you're doing some sort of vlog thing where you're going out and you're doing something at the, say, zoo or something like that, and you want the audio of those kind of things. So just keep that in mind. Doesn't matter where you shoot, doesn't matter how you shoot, on your phone, in the office with a webcam, as long as you're doing a video. Okay. So if you want to, like I said, your first 10, 20 videos, they're the throwaway stuff. You post them to get your channel started. Okay. It's like kicking the pebble down the hill. This is what's eventually going to start the avalanche of people coming to your channel and starting to notice. You want to have the same kind of content so that the niching down part is definitely still there. You definitely want to niche down. So the content you're putting on there, while not the greatest in the nation, is still relevant to your niche. Okay. So it may not be evergreen, which is a term that we use for content that never really gets outdated by anything. If you're into tech videos, you'll notice that some of your videos that you do, depending upon what it is, if it's more program related, stuff like that, your tech videos will last for 3, 4, 5 years. If you're doing build videos, those will never die. You know, putting together a computer for some people is a hassle, and they always need some sort of visual representation on how to do it. So keep that in mind. The content that's going to make you money later on down the road, that's called evergreen content. So it doesn't matter if it's 3, 5, 10 years down the road, as long as that content has some sort of purpose, it will be a moneymaker. It will be evergreen, just like trees. So other than that, there's really only one other thing that we need to discuss, is B-roll. Now, this is a topic that most newbies don't know about unless you have some sort of filmography background or you've been doing this a hot minute. B-roll is basically all the extra stuff that you shoot. It doesn't necessarily have to have audio. It could be you sitting in a corner reading a book. You know, it could be you cooking and pulling stuff out of the oven, that kind of thing. It's the extra footage. They call it the B-roll footage. The extra footage that you trim out and put it somewhere else to help further the story along. Some people use stock footage. Doesn't necessarily have to be their own to make videos with that. And then some people will actually take and do several takes of a shoot where they're doing a video, but they do it 3, 4, 5 different times, and they'll chop that up and turn it into B-roll. B-roll can come in handy when you're doing your storytelling as you progress further on down the road. So I do recommend learning how to do it. I don't have a lot of B-roll in my stuff because I usually try to do mine all in one shot. I don't necessarily like to do filler stuff, B-roll stuff, that I don't feel that helps. It's just making your story pretty. But if you got pictures and stuff like that, take pictures, there's a lot of different editing things, and we'll discuss all that when we get into video editing, which will be the next video after this. Let me double check my schedule. Yes, video editing is the next thing we will discuss, because obviously that's the next step in the process. So stick around. If you haven't hit that like button, hit that like button. Smash that subscribe button so you can become a member. We greatly appreciate everything you do, everything you watch. It does help out the channel. And we grow as you grow. So this is a step we're all going to take together. I do hope you enjoyed this content. Thank you very much. And I'll catch you on the next side.